Copy.
Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. Today's Monday, November 8th, 2021. 311 days into the new year, only 54 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere, a total undisclosed location. But it is beautiful. It is. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and the UNX Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? All right. Yes. Tonight, we have very special guest, Whitley Strieber. Whitley Strieber's joining us to discuss the new film, The Observers. The world premiere is next week, next Thursday on November 18th. It's going to be a great conversation tonight with Whitley. Tomorrow night, Mike Ricksecker is back with us. We're going to be talking about the Alaska Triangle and maybe some other stuff too as well. Wednesday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. There is no show this Thursday because I'm on the road to the Starworks USA conference in Laughlin, Nevada. The All the Above and Beyond conference, which is this November 12th through the 14th. I will be leaving on Thursday, the 11th. I'll arrive there Thursday, the 11th. The conference itself is the 12th through the 14th in Laughlin, Nevada at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino. And I can't wait to just hang out with all of you. And I'm pretty much ready. In fact, I still have to pick up some dry cleaning. And it was so funny. It was at the dry cleaners. This stuff has got to be done on Wednesday, man. It can't be Thursday. No problem, Mr. Church. Okay. All right. Well, we shall see. But Starworks, StarworksUSA.com is where you can go for tickets and info. And I will see everybody there. It's going to be great. I just cannot wait. There's nothing like a good conference. Hanging out, talking, telling stories. And as you can maybe tell, I'm nursing my voice. And I got to tell you, the past couple of weeks, it's like this. I'm on the phone from the crack of dawn until the show starts. I'm on the phone all day long. And I just wear my pipes out. I just wear them out. And I've got to get back. I've got to get back in the practice of not talking loud. If I don't talk loud, if I just do this, if I do what I'm doing right now, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. And I started this earlier today, and with a couple of friends on the phone, and they were like, "Dude, why are you whispering?" And I'm not. I'm just not yelling like I normally talk. My normal voice is just loud. It's really loud. And I just need to bring it down a notch. Because I got to last through the weekend. And when I get to a conference, I'm just all excited and I'll blow my pipes out. And at every conference, you can talk to my friends that are around me in the morning for breakfast. Somebody will go, "Hey, Jimmy, what's going on?" "Yeah, what's up?" Because I can't talk. I can't talk for about an hour. So I've got right here in the studio, I got my Jolly Rancher lollipops. And I've been doing these all day, by the way. I've gone through 4. So I've got my Jolly Ranchers. I've got a watermelon and pink lemonade at the ready. Yeah. Leftover from the Halloween candy. Can you tell? Okay, so that's what's going on. And I think I'm ready. And I'll be good and ready. I'll be good and plenty if I just chill out and whisper on the phone. That's all I got to do. I just got to whisper. I just got to whisper. Okay. So that's what's going on this week. There will be no show on Thursday. The UNX network will be running a replay. And then this network itself, there will be nothing live on YouTube and everything else. It'll just be replays from the night before. It'll be Fader Night replaying on a loop. So that's what's going on there. Okay. All right. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I just posted up over in Twitter. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but I just posted a picture of a building with a skunk on it. I want you to go check it out at JChurchRadio. Follow me right there, and you can see this picture in my Twitter feed. And this picture is about as cool as it gets. And I want you to go find the skunk. That's all you got to do. Go find the skunk. And I'll talk about all of this more in just a minute. And follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hashtag F2BQ is Fade to Black Questions. Hello to everybody. Wherever you're listening or watching UNX Network, right? Wherever you guys are hanging out right now, how you doing? All right. Now, sometime during the show, and it should be in the next 20 minutes. I've got it up here. Let's see. Let me check the feed. Let's see what's going on. SpaceX's Crew 2 mission will return 4 astronauts to Earth in the next 20 minutes. That's right. Sometime around 7:33 p.m. Pacific time. It is now 7:10. So sometime in the next 23 minutes, the Dragon is performing right now a series of thruster burns for a splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Pensacola, Florida. SpaceX's next crewed launch for NASA will launch the 4 Crew 3 astronauts to the station on November 10th. This Wednesday, liftoff is set no earlier than 3:03 p.m. Pacific time. Known as Crew 3, the mission will mark SpaceX's 4th crewed spaceflight and will ferry NASA astronauts Araja Shari, Tom Marshburn, and Caleb Barron and European Space Agency Matthias Maurer on a 6-month mission to the space station. All right, let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today. One of the funniest, one of the best, Parker Posey. Parker Posey today is 52 years old. Hands down, best in show. And but A Mighty Wind. And we can't forget, those are 2 Christopher Guest films, and she was amazing in those. But Dazed and Confused, I think that was her first movie. That was everybody's first movie. Minnie Riperton today is 74. Most of you don't remember Minnie, but just an amazing voice and big voice of the 70s. Ricky Lee Jones today is 67. Chuck E's In Love. And Bonnie Raitt today is 72. Our dead guy's birthday today is Ricky Lawson, 1954 to 2013, died at the age of 59. There is no question that Ricky was one of the greatest drummers in history. He worked with the best: Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Phil Collins, Whitney Houston, Steely Dan, Earl Klug, Kenneth Babyface Edmonds, Quincy Jones, Bette Midler, Toto, Al Jarreau, George Benson, Lionel Richie, and George Duke. He co-founded the Yellow Jackets and won the 1987 Grammy Award for the Best R&B Instrumental Performance for And You Know That from their album Shades. Ricky became disoriented while performing at a jazz club on December 13th, 2013 in Seal Beach, California. He was diagnosed with a brain aneurysm and treated at Long Beach Memorial Medical Center. He died 10 days later on December 23rd. He was just 59 years old. Incredible. One of the best. may be the best. On this day in history, 1887, Doc Holliday, gunslinger, gambler, and occasional dentist, dies from tuberculosis. That's right. On this day in 1887, fate or fact, someone born, now listen to this. Someone born in 55 BC who died in 35 AD at the age of 90 would have witnessed the rise and fall of Julius Caesar, the reign of Augustus, the founding of the Roman Empire, Cleopatra's entire reign of Egypt, and the fall of Egypt to Rome, and the birth, life, and crucifixion of Jesus. Think about that. That is crazy. We could do the same thing if you went 1900 to 1990, the same 90 years. Holy crap. All right. Well, tonight on this show, Whitley Strieber joins us and to discuss the new film, The Observers. Now, the world premiere for The Observers is next Thursday, November 18th, and it can't get here fast enough. I cannot wait for Thursday to get here. And Whitley's in the film with us. We're going to be talking about all of that. There are links in the description box below where you can go and not only see the trailer for The Observers, but there is a link there to purchase the film for next Thursday. Okay, so all of the links for that are down below. Tomorrow night, Mike Ricksecker is with us. We're going to be talking about the Alaska Triangle. Wednesday night is Fader Night, not Thursday. Wednesday is another Fader Night with open lines all night long because there is no show on Thursday. I am on the road in my Jeep. That's right. I'm heading out to the Starworks USA conference in Laughlin, Nevada. The official stream for this is really starting to bother me. The stream keeps stopping. I am going to try this. I'm going to go straight. Okay. Now this feed isn't stopping. Okay. All right. Let me mute this. I just want to see the splashdown. Splashdown is now 18 minutes away, and I'm watching it live right here along with the rest of you. Okay. All right. River Moon Coffee. rivermoonwellness.com. All the links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. All right? All right. Best coffee in the world. No question about it. This weekend, a couple of things happened. So I posted some pics, and one of them was of the Four Aces Motel. And I'll get to that in just a second. But this also involves River Moon Coffee. So I have a burr grinder. And if you're a coffee person, you should know what a burr grinder is. A coffee grinder, most of you are familiar with the coffee grinders that, shaped like a can. They got a thing on the top. That's a blade grinder. It's got a blade in there, right? Cut your finger off. And that's fine. Okay, I get that. A burr grinder is a different type of grinder. And it's got a big basket, and you fill it up full of beans. You see them at restaurants. And so you got this thing, and it's full of beans. And then, so you're not doing it one at a time. It's always full of beans. And then you just press the button, and it'll grind for you. Okay, it's very precise, very consistent grind. There are different grinds do different things. I like my stuff strong. I want the finest grind. I want the grind to be powder. Okay, I don't want that. When you were a kid and you open up the Folgers can that your mom had, and it's chunky. No, you don't want that kind of grind. And I was messing with the burr grinder, and I kind of screwed things up, and I had to get the grind back. And I did. And I just made the most amazing pot of coffee. It was amazing. And I was, River Moon. I love River Moon. So anyway, I pound through this cup of coffee. And suddenly, I wanted to go do something. Let's go drive in the desert. Right? And I'm standing there. And it happened just like this. I was talking to a friend of mine. You guys know him, Kurt James, the guitar player. And Kurt and I were talking about the desert out here. And he goes, "Hey, man, the Four Aces Motel, man." And I was like, "What?" And so I look it up, and sure enough, the Four Aces Motel, House of 1,000 Corpses, right? Rob Zombie, and other movies. Right. And the diner and the gas station. And I was like, holy crap. It's not close by. It's 30 miles out into the middle of the desert. It's a 30-mile drive into the middle of the desert. And I'm standing there and I'm drinking the coffee. Suddenly had this newfound energy. And I'm thinking, I got a full tank of gas. I'm fully clothed. I've got shoes on. Grab your sunglasses and go to the Four Aces Motel. All right. Let's go. So I do. I put the lid on the cup, got my travel thing going on, full cup of coffee. I jump in the Jeep. And I take off. Now, you can go and look up, if you want, you can look up the Four Aces Motel, and you can find it, and you can check it out. It's a real place. And you can see that it is truly in the middle of the desert. And so I take off. Now, as I'm driving out there, zig and zagging, I'm driving by some pretty crazy places. And this is what happened. Now, I didn't post any of these pictures yet, and I'm a little reticent. I posted one of Skunk Works, the skunk building. I'm a little reticent to post these pictures. A couple of weird things happen. So I drive past Northrop Grumman. Okay. And I'm in the middle of the desert, and I see this big brown building coming up. It's off in the distance, but it's big. It's like General Motors big. And I'm behind somebody. This person is slowing down, and they pull and they turn to the right, and they're going up this road. And I look, and it's a security gate, like a real security gate. And I pick up my phone and I go snap, snap, snap. I slow down and I took some pictures. And then as we went past, man, I swear this stuff is going to get me in trouble just talking about it. As I'm driving, the parking lot is full. I'm talking about thousands of cars on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of the desert, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, what's going on here? That's a full shift, right? And I snap a couple of more pictures, and something just said to me, you know what? Don't talk about this stuff. And it was just really strange to me. So I continue on, and I drive out another 10 miles. Make a right-hand turn, make a left-hand turn, make a right-hand turn. I'm way out in the desert, and I pull up to the Four Aces Motel. And much to my disappointment, as I pulled up, they're friggin' filming a movie there. And it's production trucks, it's dressing rooms, lights, camera, sound, people, cars packed. And I pull up in the Fade to Black Jeep, man. And I pull up and I stop on the side of the road and everybody's looking at me. And I think that they probably thought I was there for the production. It's in the middle of the desert, right? And if you're pulling up to this spot, you got to be there for a reason, right? And I see everything going on, and I was so bummed out because I wanted to go, hang out and do a live stream from the Four Aces Motel and the diner and the gas station. It's all creepy, and I couldn't do it. And I don't want to say anything more than that because this is a production, and what they were doing there, that's their thing. I'm not going to talk any more about it. But so I take a couple of shots of the Four Aces sign, and I posted that. And I saw everybody's reaction. Everybody thought that my Jeep broke down. It didn't. I just was merely cracking a joke. If you're ever out in the desert alone and your car breaks down, this is the place to stay. I didn't realize that everybody thought when I said, Rob Zombie and I'm about to check in, ha, ha, ha. I didn't realize everybody thought that my Jeep broke down, but my Jeep didn't break down. Anyway, so I turn around the corner. There's the diner. I jump out and I take some pictures of that. And then I get in the Jeep and I split. And as I'm driving back, I can't explain this. But as I'm driving back, I ended up on the perimeter of this huge chunk of land. It's huge. I don't know how many square miles, but everything is barbed wire. Everything is warning, no trespassing. Everything is, all that stuff, and it's everywhere. And I drive by probably 4 or 5 heavy-duty security gates. Manned, like the real deal stuff. And I'm taking pictures. And at each one. And I pull up to this next one, and this silver, I don't want to give away too much, silver Dodge Hemi Cuda, nice. And he's coming out of the gate. And he stops, and I'm at rest, and I continue, and he pulls along beside me, and I look, and I could see he had like I don't want to say too much, but he had a uniform on, and he's next to me, and then I pull up behind him, and I make another right-hand turn, and then we're going, and he pulls in, so he leaves one security gate, drives a couple of miles, drives around, this is all barbed wire fences and stuff, and he pulls into another gate. And that's when I looked up and saw the Skunk Works building. I'm looking right at it. And I just took my camera, snap, 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 and I kept driving. The next stop, this was my Sunday. And this is where it got a little bit weird. So I'm driving along this fence, and I see 2 SR-71s. And 2 SR-71s, and I pull over, and I decide that I am going to take a picture of these SR-71s, which are right here. Okay, right there, SR-71s, 2 of them. And so I'm at the fence, right, and I'm taking pictures and stuff, and I'm in the dirt along the side of the road, and I turn and I look, and I see this car, not an SUV car, pull out and park behind me in the dirt, about 50 yards back, just sitting there. And I'm taking pictures over the fence, man. And I was like, okay, there's nobody out there. It's the desert. There's nobody there. Just my Jeep and this car that pulls out of the security gate, and he's just sitting there. I was like, all right. I jumped in the Jeep, and I split. He didn't follow me. He stayed right there. But, and I swear. And so me talking about this right now, this is how I see all of this unraveling, is that I know that they got my license plate. I know that they've run, and I know that they've probably jumped on the internet. I know that they know. Now, are they listening right now? Right? I let my hand show. I let my 4 aces show. And so that's why I didn't post any of these pictures. And I just felt like right now it's not the right thing to do. So over the weekend, it was this morning. This all happened yesterday. I'm out in front of my house and I had to do the trash cans, and I was doing that today. And for some reason, I had this thought pop into my head. Somebody's going to pull up and have a chat with me. Yeah, it's going to happen. Am I just making myself a little bit too visible? I'm just saying. But I got some amazing picks. All right, I'm going to take a break because tonight Whitley Strieber is here. We are going to be talking about tonight the new film, The Observers. It is worldwide release coming up Thursday, November 18th. The links for the trailer for The Observers is in the video description box below. Of course, it's throughout social media. And also in the trailer link is another link to go and purchase tickets. All right? Or purchase the film. Pre-order the film. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Rick Sucker is with us. We're going to be talking about the Alaska Triangle. Wednesday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Thursday, no show. I'll be right back with our guest, Whitley Strieber. Stay with me.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from Rivermoon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all Rivermoon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
The new KUNXDB, the UNX Network, bringing you the best in paranormal programming in premium high-definition streaming audio and video. Log on to the network at unxnetwork.com and check out the growing lineup of programs, including Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and many more. Sign up for the free UNX newsletter, follow the UNX blog, or pick up the latest edition of the UNX magazine. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So check us out at unxnetwork.com. Tap the show page and the calendar so you never miss your favorite live shows and podcasts. We are your portal for all things paranormal. The X, explaining the unexplained.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Matthew. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Whitley Strieber is joining us. Tomorrow night, Mike Ricksecker is here to talk about the Alaska Triangle. And Wednesday night is Fader Night. Open lines all night long. We are off air on Thursday. I've got stuff to do. But tonight, Whitley joins us. We're going to be discussing the new film, The Observers. In this movie, Whitley, along with Linda Moulton Howe, Richard Dolan, Lue Elizondo, William Henry, John Greenewald, Jesse Ventura, and Debbie Kauble all discuss what disclosure means for our world today. And the movie goes much deeper than that. We'll be discussing all of that tonight. Because Whitley, he's someone who has changed our worldview. He is one of the iconic cultural figures of our time. Of course, he is the author of the Communion series of books and many novels ranging from the Wolfen and the Hunger to the Greys and the Alien Hunter series. Communion, the Wolfen, and the Hunger and Superstorm have all been made into movies. Superstorm, of course, was The Day After Tomorrow. His websites, unknowncountry.com and Strieber.com, are right there on our website and throughout social media. And go and subscribe to unknowncountry.com. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, the one and only Whitley Strieber. Whitley, good evening, young man. How you doing?
Good evening, Jimmy. Excuse me. I'm having allergies tonight, so there may be a few little glitches. But good evening, Jimmy. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's always good to see and hear you, my friend. And I am losing my voice. So tonight I'm going to go into my my best Wolfman Jack, and I'm just gonna whisper all night. But
you have a natural Wolfman Jack, definitely.
One of these days I'm going to try to work up a good impression and see if I can fake a few people, see if I can bring them back from the grave. And now, Whitley, on a serious note. I just recently moved here to Palmdale, and I'm out here in the desert, and where all the secret stuff goes on. You've been in Southern California for a long time. You've heard about this area. Have you ever driven around out here and checked things out?
Where exactly is Palmdale in relation to Joshua Tree? And I can tell you.
Okay, well, Joshua Tree is east into the Mojave Desert. I'm on the west side of the Mojave. So if you take the 5 freeway, right, up into the Grapevine, before you get to the Grapevine, you hit another freeway called the 14.
Yeah, I know the 14.
Yeah.
So it's out on the 14.
Yeah, you take the 14, and that takes you straight to Palmdale.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's what I have to say about the Mojave just in general. There's a reason that the movie Them, remember that movie, 1954?
I do.
Where the ants, gigantic ants,
yes,
come swarming out of underground. That happens in the Mojave. Trinity Site was in the Mojave. And the Mojave is for many long years, has been a place of mystery. And it's an ominous place in many ways. I have to tell you, and I'm not going to go into much detail here, I had an urge to spend some time out in the Mojave in a really isolated area. Why would I have this urge? Well, I attribute it now to a moment of insanity. Anyway, I went to Airbnb and I rented a cabin, and way out, so far out that you had to drive a couple of miles on a dirt road to get to it, and it was the only thing there. Let me put it, this cabin, no one, I don't think it was haunted for anyone else, but I have never had things, glasses broke spontaneously. I had to apologize to the lady who owned it. I'm sorry the glasses are broken. She was very sweet about it and said, don't mind. But what I didn't tell her was that they'd just broken spontaneously. The door kept opening even though I had locked it. It was a hard night. And the next morning, the first thing I did was get out of there and come home. And that's the end of my experience with the Mojave. I've had the Mojave. No more Mojave.
This is a crazy place. And there is you have Skunk Works out here, right? You've got all of that happening with Lockheed. You have Northrop Grumman. You have Air Force's famous Plant 42, where allegedly, that's where some of the bodies are kept. You have Edwards Air Force Base and all of its notoriety, where things have happened over the years. And then you have the other element that goes along with that. But everybody here works there. Right? So everybody has got some secret job. Right?
All right, let me ask you this then. Why in the world did you move there, of all places? Are you curious to maybe hope to meet some of the people with secret jobs and learn stuff?
That's right. And I've always wanted to be here. And
I know the feeling, my friend.
Yeah. Yes. And I have seen things. I've seen things out here that I just cannot explain. And it's a lot of fun.
His experience was in the Mojave.
Yes, that's right. That's
Absolutely.
Right. I had this, I've told the story many times on the air, but I haven't shared this with you. I've been here for about 3 or 4 months now. And while I was looking at property here, I was staying at a Hilton Suites or something. And I had an appointment with my realtor. I'm going to give you the short version of this story. And I had a few hours, right? This was the next day. So the night before, I'm standing out and I'm in front of the hotel, and it's at night. And I'm looking. I know that Edwards Whitley is just like right in front of me somewhere. So I grab my phone and I look and I'm like, it's not that far away. Let's go. Okay. All right. And I was going to drive to a drive-through and get some fast food anyway. So I thought, okay, I'm going to drive out into the desert and go check it out and then come back and hit a drive-through and go to bed. And because I have this appointment the next day. So, Whitley's got the old style phone. So anyway.
No, that's my ringer. I'm sorry, I turned it off.
So I drive out to Edwards, and I don't know where I'm at, but I try to get as close to Edwards as I can. But I see that I'm up against the property line according to my GPS. And I get out. I'm in the middle of Whitley, the middle of the desert. And I get out of my Jeep and I walk across the road, and I'm standing in the dirt. And as I look up, and I can see Edwards in front of me, and it's a little bit lit up, and I can see what's going on. And then right in front of me, this is what I see. And it's about, I'm going to say, a mile away, not that high up, off of the ground, but in the dark of the sky, I see this thing flutter like static on a TV. That's what it looked like to me. And then all of a sudden, this ring of lights lights up. It goes in the middle of the sky, and it's white. And I was like, what? No, stop. And now I'm looking back into the blackness of the sky, and I've got my cell phone in my hand, Whitley. It's down here by my side. Don't ask me why I didn't think of it. But as I'm looking, it does it again. It goes with this ring of lights. And I could see its shape. Now I stand there. Now I've got my cell phone out. I get the video, right? I'm ready to go. Nothing happens. I stand there for another 20, 25 minutes. Nothing happens. I get in my Jeep and I split. The next day, and I'm thinking all the way back to the hotel, it was this, it was that. I'm trying to debunk it in my mind. The next day, I get up and I've got like 3 hours to the meeting with this realtor, which is at like 2 o'clock. So it's like 10 in the morning. And I'm going back. So I jump back in my Jeep. I go back to my GPS. I go to the exact same spot. Now I'm there in the middle of the day. And I pull up. I see my footprints. I see my tire prints from the night before. I go back across the street. And in the middle of the desert, and I took a friend out there, and later I found how remote we were. I mean, it's in the middle of the desert. Anyway, I go up and I look back at Edwards, and there's nothing there. I was thinking it was something on the top of a tower, maybe, some kind of warning line. There was nothing. There's nothing there. And that's, I have nothing more to the story than that. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what I saw. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen that again. But that's why I moved here. It's a crazy part of the world, man.
Well, that's a great story. And, they're testing a lot of exotic, what would seem to us to be exotic aircraft that are in the last phases of being tested, and they're going to be deployed. And you may, being that it was at Edwards and you could see it, I think it's possible that it's already deployed. Mm-hmm. As to what it is, I do know that electromagnetic propulsion is a big factor in some of these planes, if they are planes anymore, actually.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what you were seeing, as a device that was supported by electromagnetic propulsion. And since you didn't hear anything and it didn't move, it's conceivable that that's the only, that's all it has, which means that we have made definite breakthroughs in the direction of UFO propulsion, and it is not being bled out in any way into the public space, which is unfortunate because we are desperately in need of that.
It was right in front of me, and going back out there, a friend of mine, Eric, who you've met, Eric Awakening Man, I took him back out there about a month later, and I forgot how far out and how remote this location was, but we went right up there. We were right at the fence line to the exact same spot. And yeah, I'm looking down. You can see the hangars. You can see it's a couple of miles away. It's not like right in front. But and I'm triangulating everything. So what I saw was it was close, maybe 2 miles. And
yeah, there's no way to tell at night without.
No, but it was in focus, though. That was the other thing. Yeah. It wasn't blurry off in the distance. This was
sharply
razor sharp. It was right in front of me. So that's why I'm here. And if you want to come out, we'll break some bread, and I'll take you.
Yeah, I can do that.
And I'll take you to the fence line, man.
Working on a book now, and working on a book state, which means two things. One is I don't do much of anything else except my Dreamland shows, and two is I have essentially no functioning memory for anything except the book.
Can you take me? You know what? You and I have never talked about this. I've read so much of your stuff over the years, and I've also had a lot of conversations with you too. And the mind, you and I were talking about this the other day. I don't know. I have so much respect for authors. The discipline, the mindset that you have to go into. Take me through that. When somebody like yourself has to have that kind of discipline, what do you have to go through? What is the process?
Well, there has to be an obsessive element in your personality, and also you have to be essentially unbreakable, because you can't write for your audience. If you're writing for your audience, you're not going to produce anything they want to read. You have to write for yourself. You have to write for what you care about. But in terms of the logistics, frankly, you need, if you're going to do the kind of work I do, you need a good memory and an analytical ability. You need all of that stuff. But you also need the determination to face the blank page every day. And not just in the morning, but every time you finish a page, another page comes up, and that's blank too.
What is it? A series of challenges? Do you set up?
It's a continuous, unending challenge,
right?
And it, you have to be ready to dig into something more deeply than you thought possible. To me, the first thing is, do I think I could write this book or not? And if the answer is no, I don't think I could write this book, I have a book.
That's the challenge, right?
That means you've got a book. If you think, oh yeah, I can write this, you have no book. The book won't work. The list, no one will be interested. The readers won't be interested. The book won't mean anything to anybody. But it's when you think it's impossible and you try anyway, that's when you've got a good book.
What's that game with the pole that you have to dance under? Like the high jump, and it gets lower and lower.
Oh, I know it's in the Caribbean cultures.
Yeah, what's that called?
I have no idea.
Man, I can't remember either.
You're asking me a question like that while I'm writing a book.
You have no brain.
If you ask me my name, I might have to think about it.
What's the last letter in your last name? I don't know, Jimmy. You tell me.
I'm waiting for the day when somebody says, "And you are," and I say, "Hold on, I'm thinking about that."
Well, it's like that, right? Where you're just going to lower the bar to where it's impossible. That's where you need to be.
Right. Exactly.
And so how do you fight that? And I hear this asked of authors all the time. The infamous, right? The writer's block.
I don't have writer's block. I don't even know what that is. I think it's people who don't have good ideas, because if you've got a good idea, you're not going to have writer's block. Or you can have. I knew a writer who had the best idea for a horror novel I have ever heard. The idea was so good that it intimidated him and he couldn't write it. And I didn't write it because it was his idea. Then he died. Now I've forgotten what it was anyway. No. Anyway.
And so do you, I've seen depictions of this where authors will, like post-it and notes and thumbtacks and plot out the chapters.
Yeah. I don't do that. I have friends who do, their workspaces are loaded with those things, but I can't read my own handwriting anyway, so there's no point, because I'll write it down and then a day later I look at, what the hell is that? Did I write that? Oh my God, I must have. What does it say? No idea whatsoever. So
did you ever write in longhand?
No, I always wrote either. No, I take that back. I did write in longhand a long, long time ago, when I was still living in San Antonio at home, and my mom would rewrite it in her handwriting so people could read it. I'm left-handed, and I've got something wrong with my motor control on the left. It's nothing I'm not conscious of it, but my handwriting is not very good. It's never been very good. When I was a little boy, I did mirror writing. Everything was mirror writing. And the sister in the second grade used to sit me in her lap at the lunch hour and just take my left hand, and go drawing circles, loops across the page, and filling page after page with these loops, going from left to right instead of right to left. And gradually, I ceased to do mirror writing, but at the same time, my hand was never very good.
And so then you there's the transition before software, right, and writing programs.
Yeah, I used
typewriter.
Typewriter, yeah. I had any number of typewriters. At least, typewriters didn't generally blow up like the early computers did. I used to go through computers like they were candy because they would explode when I got excited. In fact, everything exploded. The computer, the printer. The printer guy used to come every week to fix the printer because every time I got excited, the printer would fail. And he used to say, "Listen, Whitley, it's too expensive. Your writing career is costing us more than it's making. You've got to calm down. And we can't keep replacing all this stuff because computers and things were expensive as hell in those days."
And so you're saying that you would emit this energy that would...
I still do. I'm just... The last computer meltdown I had was about a year and a half ago. It was right before COVID, about a month or so before COVID, and the computer in this office is not this computer. It's another computer. Suddenly just went totally berserk, and I started, Whitley, calm down. And then the image on the computer screen got tiny, like a little postage stamp in the middle of the screen, and then just winked out. And I thought, I've blown it up. I was in the middle of work. I had work to do. So I got the computer. I went down to the car, put it in the trunk. It was a desktop. And turned on the car, and the car went nuts. All of the lights on the dash started flashing on and off. The digital speedometer started shooting all the way to its farthest, like 120, and back again, back and forth. A horn started honking, and then it all went dead. And I couldn't start it again. It wouldn't even click. It was just dead. So I called AAA, and I wait there, and he's there quite promptly. They're good AAA. They know, they're not. You don't sit and wait for 4 hours. So he's there about 20 minutes later. He gets in the car. He says, "Well, what was the problem?" He said, "Well, I think it's got a short in it." And I tell him what happened. He said, "Sir, I've never heard anything like that before in my life, and I've dealt with a lot of cars. You might have a major electrical problem of some kind." I said, "Well, in any case, it's dead. Maybe you could jump start it." And he tries to turn it on, and it turns on. It was fine. It needed no further work. The battery was fine. The whole car was fine. It was coming out of me, and I had calmed down, and so it went away. And I took the computer in, and the guy checked the computer out. Computer was okay. Brought the computer home, put the computer back and set it up again, saged the apartment pointlessly probably, and went on with my life.
Another day, right?
Just another day, exactly.
That's absolutely incredible. The other day, everybody, talking to Whitley, and I'm sending him some email stuff, and he's like, "Jimmy, I'm not going to get the email." I said, "Well, it's not here yet." And so during the conversation, the email started to come in like 5 minutes later. But you didn't panic, right?
No,
this is just another day.
It happens all the time.
Another day in the life of Whitley Strieber. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. When we come back, we'll jump into The Observers. It releases worldwide next Thursday, November 18th. So we'll do all of that when we come back. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. You can follow me at JChurchRadio on Twitter. You can follow Whitley at Whitley Strieber right there on Twitter. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, the X.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening.
Okay, that was strange. Everything just went silent here in the studio. So I'm jumping in to say welcome back. This is Fade to Black, and that was strange. It is Whitley Strieber interrupting our electronic processes going on here in the studio. Whitley, you're doing it remotely.
Well, I just discovered this, that a bunch of transactions on one of my debit cards are fake. Just the second an email came in, and I got upset.
I
wish I could control that, boy.
Oh man, it's kind of what was the movie with Firestarter?
Oh yeah, that was one of Stephen King's most extraordinarily paranoid ideas.
She was like 4 years old when she did that, something like that. 5 years old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a movie. It didn't really happen. Although there are cases of spontaneous combustion. I've heard of those. I haven't really studied that. My son and wife gave me a joke Christmas present, birthday present one year, a book about spontaneous combustion. And I said, I really don't need this. Dan said, sure you do. And I said, no, I don't. It's creepy. But I read it anyway.
So
I don't remember it at all.
I wanted to welcome you to the UnX network, by the way. Race Hobbs and Margie Kay and their efforts to launch this new network. And you're one of the hosts over here. And I wanted to say welcome officially from Race and Margie and the UnX audience and our audience, of course. And very excited. Which it kind of dovetails, Whitley, into the film The Observers. You've watched the film. What are your first impressions?
Well, my overall first impression was that the group of us in the film are really angry, and we're angry at the government and at whoever is behind the secrecy, and whoever has basically engaged in what amounts to a decades-long assault on our ability to think clearly about the world we live in. That anger really comes through in every single person in the movie. I was amazed at how intense it is. Because, when you're alone with it, your own feelings of having been had or having been exploited, or in my case, I'm haunted by something that was said during my abduction when I said, you don't have a right, and you have no right. And the answer was, we do have a right. But why? Who gave it to them? Did I? And I don't remember it or something? Or did someone else? And if so, why did they give them the right to do that to me without my asking? And that's my first impression of the film, is this explosion of intense anger. And, years ago, when I saw the Tic Tac thing appear, when Leslie and Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Keene posted it in the New York Times, I thought to myself, this is going to cause a profound disruption. And the disruption is going to be caused by the fact that millions and millions of people have been told to laugh at this for their whole lives, and the lives of their parents and their parents before them. And now, all of a sudden, it turns out that was a lie. And lo and behold, not even a few weeks or months after that story broke, QAnon began to just explode into a huge thing with, frankly, what appeared to me to be a bunch of really hard to to believe claims. And I thought to myself, what is this? Is this someone behind the scenes, an expert in social engineering, trying to create something so absurd that the average person will group all conspiracy theories in with it and throw the baby out with the bathwater? Or is this a reaction to the realization that we have been lied to about probably the most important thing in human history for 70 years?
The timing of the film, which was all of us gathering right after the UAP Task Force report was released, and we were all able to sit down and discuss the ramifications and the how profound it was at this point in history. And I think that you're right. There, in the intensity of what was done, I remember all of us gathering for dinner. Well, we did every night, but the night before we started filming, and there was a certain amount of a tangible presence, right? And I think that we all felt it, and we sat and we talked till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning that night. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I think that was brought out in the film. But this is the thing. I want to back up to a couple of months prior, when I, as one of the producers on the film, reached out and I gathered the cast together, and I told you then what the idea was for the film. And we all know, Whitley, that the vision, the pitch, right, that happens at the beginning and what the film is at the end are usually two different things. But
yeah, and often they're not. What happens at the end isn't as good as the pitch.
Right. And this time around, it's the opposite. I think that the film is better than the pitch.
What they did was extraordinary. They really got a lot of good stuff out of us. I think that there are some things said there that are just amazing. I think that William Henry and Linda, I mean, we were all good. It was well done. The director was a good director.
Yeah, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Right, exactly.
Yeah, Roger
and
Richards.
It's going to change things. This is going to be a big deal. This is going to affect people. This is going to get to people. You know, because of the emotional intensity is so great. And the information is good. These are smart people. And you know, and Lue Elizondo, you can see him opening up. He talks about his realization that he had to do this, even though he kept turning it down. You did that. Tell us about that. Tell us about Lue.
There was a lot of some of it is brought out in the film. There was a lot of back channeling negotiations that I had to go through. And in the end, of course, Lue is in the film. But Lue speaking about that in the film, everybody will see it. I think we'll all understand how we came together as a team. But to that end, you made a comment, Whitley, in the film. I don't know if it's in the film or if we're using it for the trailers or if it's because there's so much stuff there. Everything can't be in the film or the film would be 16 hours long. But you said something. I want to go back. You said that E.T. is showing us a new world.
Yeah, that is in the film.
If we can handle it.
If we can take it.
Right. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, well, that's, first of all, it's the title of my last book about the visitors, which is available, folks, on Amazon.com. A New World. what happened was this. This is many years ago at this point, back at the 50th anniversary commemoration of the Roswell incident in Roswell back, I guess, it must have been in 1997, that long ago. I was with, Annie and I were with Phil Corso, who spent most of his conference spending hours talking to people like me and Linda and I think Paola Harris and others. His purpose was to get through to us. And he told us the story of how that phrase had come into his awareness. He was at White Sands, and there was a ship there, not a human ship, and they didn't want to try to leave with these big radars going. And so they asked him to turn off the radars for 10 minutes. And he said, in my profession, 10 minutes can be a long time. I mean, being a military man, that literally could not be more true. And what's in it for us? And, I don't know if everything Phil said is accurate, because there's all kinds of forces out there screwing with our heads in all kinds of different ways when we try to write about this stuff. I know that up close and personal, believe me. In any case, I'm sure that this was exactly what happened, because he said, what's in it for us? And the answer was a new world if you can take it. And that is truth. That is exactly what's in it for us. And if you can take it, it fits this whole experience perfectly, because I notice, and you can notice, nothing's being given to us on any silver platters. If they do have something out there at Edwards that uses technology that's based on what we've observed or captured or found, then believe me, they got it themselves. They worked it out. If you can take it means if you can figure it out, if you can take it for yourself and make it your own. And also another thing, if you can bear it, because this has got things to do with things that are more basic and more fundamental about being alive than we usually even dare think about. This has got to do with the dead. My wife Anne was absolutely right about that when she came up with that notion first after reading a lot of the communion letters a long time ago. She was absolutely correct. Number one. Number two, it has to do with the soul. And if you don't believe you have a soul, or if you live as if your soul doesn't matter and you don't have anything to think about your afterlife, then you're in trouble. You're living dangerously. And if you can take it means facing the fact that our souls are affected by our lives and not living as if that isn't relevant. Because once you face that, then your whole life changes, because you start to ask yourself, who am I? What am I doing here, and what am I doing? Was that right? Was that good for my soul? Was that healthy for my soul or not? You cease to be a child then. This is about growing up. That's what a new world is about at every single level.
We have all seen UFO documentaries and documentaries about ET in the past, and some are great. But those
you went dead. I could see your mouth moving, but that was it.
Okay, well, I'm live here. Everything is fine over here, Whitley.
Okay, can you repeat what you said a few seconds ago, because I did not hear it?
What I said was that We have all seen UFO and documentaries about ET in the past, and some are great, but they also tend to sensationalize and make things fantastical when they don't need to.
It's over.
Yeah.
That's over.
Yeah, and what Roger did in The Observers is approached this subject in a realistic way. There's no reason to sensationalize it. If you just look at things as they are, that's the story. And that's what he was able to bring out of you and Linda and Richard and
it's over. Childhood has ended. Childhood's end is over, has happened. And this movie, The Observer, reflects that. It's just the idea that we could continue on playing those childish games is just ridiculous. We can't, not anymore. Because, I was actually surprised that maybe Lou didn't even know I was going to be in the film, because he's been very hesitant to get anywhere near the abduction story. So has Chris Mellon, for that matter, and I can understand why. And some of the people in the government who in the Congress and stuff don't want it to come up in anything. They want it to stick with the UAPs. And the reason that's true is because this is the part that's really hard to handle. And they have to face it. We all have to face it. A new world, if you can take it. That means facing things like the reality that the abductions are completely beyond our control and we can't do a thing about them and we don't understand them. And they do matter immensely to us as individuals and to us as a species and to our planet and its future and our future. They are the elephant in the room in this case. The government dares not talk about them. The reason the Air Force is so silent is the abductions, the abductions, the abductions. That's why they are silent, because they were the ones who were charged with protecting us from threats from the sky. And instead of admitting that such a threat existed and saying that they could do nothing about it, they chose instead to lie, to disparage the people who came forward, to try to wreck their lives, and to tacitly assist the media in making a mockery of these people, this guy included. What? And they can't handle that now, but they're going to have to. The truth is, and you can feel the anger, and you can feel the intensity in the observers in that movie, it's time for them all to either face this or get out of the way, because this is going to unfold, it's going to happen, and frankly, if they never make another move toward disclosure, it will happen anyway, because in the end, it could even lead to the collapse of this government. It almost led to that already, because people are losing faith. They know that they are supporting a gigantic, massive secret enterprise. And they don't know what is going on behind the scenes. They're not told. How can we live like that? Your tax money, your work, the effort you make to live your life, and you pay your taxes, and they won't tell you where that money went. It just disappears. And that's not right. It's not right. And we're not going to sit back and just take it anymore. And this movie is a bellwether. The energy of the movie is the energy of change. That's what The Observers is about. It's the energy of change.
One of the questions that is laid out in this film, which I was so moved by, is that here we are suddenly having this conversation out in a public forum, and that includes public conversation on Capitol Hill, to shows like this, people like you, and of course a film like this. But this thing that is now out and is very tangible, Whitley. Once this is out in the open, then the questions start, right? Not only with abductions, but a long list of things that are going to be accountable. And is that part of why this hasn't happened earlier? That this list of issues.
Well, there's a massive gap, an accountability gap of extraordinary size. I mean, remember the Saturday after the attack on the World Trade Center, that I believe it was Donald Rumsfeld? Yeah, I think it was him, who just sort of mentioned in passing that the Pentagon had lost $1 trillion. $1 trillion. And now we're our bridges are falling apart, our whole country's falling to pieces. And I watch the Congress bitching and moaning and whining about spending not even $1 trillion on fixing it. And I think to myself, the Pentagon can lose that. Drop out of their hip pockets. What's going on? I can remember years ago I was being asked questions by a Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. This was years and years ago, back in the 90s. And I kept saying to him, look for the money, follow the dollars, and then you'll find your answers, because I'm not going to be able to answer questions I don't know the answers. They were actually not asking me to answer their questions to be fair. They were asking me to help them form questions that they could ask the intelligence community that would get them some useful answers. Since I don't have a security clearance, I have no idea whether or not they succeeded. Obviously they didn't, because if they had, then what's happening now would have happened then. In any case, one of the legal counsel for the committee said to me one day, we did follow the money, and we found an Air Force base that is not on the Pentagon's roster at all. And yet the personnel are being paid with what look like U.S. Treasury Department checks, and they're all believe that they're in the Air Force. But they're working on a base that officially doesn't exist. And I said, well, what do you think's going on? He said, we don't know what's going on. And then they wouldn't talk about it anymore.
Was that before Area 51 was disclosed, or was this after that?
I don't know. It was probably about 95, 96, somewhere in there. And I don't remember when Area 51 was disclosed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was right in that period.
I do remember that they were having problems with Edwards Air Force Base, because the people who lived around there were complaining about these booms, that there were sonic booms being heard around Edwards. And the problem they were having was they did not know the origin of the booms. Linda Moulton Howe has been talking about booms again lately, and people don't know the origin of the booms now either. But in those days, I can tell you that people on the Senate Intelligence Committee didn't know either. So, and yet they were happening around Edwards to the point that people were actually sending letters to the senators complaining about them.
Yeah, I remember in the mid-'80s, hard mid-'80s, 85, 84, 85, 86, I'm living in Pasadena, California, and and it seemed at that time, Whitley, it was like daily, sonic booms every single day. You would walk outside and it would happen, and nobody really knew. And then the rumors started to spread that it was Aurora, that they were test flying Aurora. But it was happening every single day in Pasadena, right there. And I didn't realize at the time, about Edwards or Skunk Works or Burbank Airport or the Mojave Desert, which was all within, a couple of dozen miles of Pasadena. This is just the area.
Now it's your home.
I can't wait for you to come.
When you go to sleep at night, you go to sleep there.
You have no idea. I have a patio off of the second floor of my bedroom, sliding glass doors, and I've got a chair out there. with my night vision and binoculars. So after the show, I'm just sitting out there watching the crazy. You've got to come out, man. You've got to come out.
Yeah, I should come out. I'm maybe we'll see.
Yes, very soon. I got to take a break. Let's get a break in right here. Our guest tonight, Whitley Strieber. We're talking about the new film, The Observers. It releases next Thursday, November 28th. And sure enough, I have got a blank screen. Okay, hold on for a second. I'm going to mute this. This is crazy. Whitley.
Can you hear me?
I don't know what you're doing to my system here, my friend.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I'm rebooting everything right now. This is, by the way, this isn't computers. This is hardware.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It can be analog or computers. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
If the energy's futzing with you, it's going to futz with you no matter what you have.
Okay, it's back. I had to do a hard reboot. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Whitley Strieber. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us. We'll be back after this short break.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
The new KUNXDB, the UNX network, bringing you the best in paranormal programming in premium high-definition streaming audio and video. Log on to the network at unxnetwork.com and check out the growing lineup of programs, including Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and many more. Sign up for the free UNX newsletter, follow the UNX blog, or pick up the latest edition of the UNX magazine. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So check us out at unxnetwork.com. Tap the show page and the calendar so you never miss your favorite live shows and podcasts. We are your portal for all things paranormal. The X, explaining the unexplained.
Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Whitley Strieber is with us. We're talking about the film The Observers. Just want to give a little update. About an hour ago, the 4 astronauts, NASA's Shane Kimbrough and Megan MacArthur, French astronaut Thomas Pesquet, and the European Space Agency, and Akito Hashida from Japan, are all now on terra firma, the splashdown off of the coast of Florida, in the Gulf of Mexico off of Pensacola. So they were all picked up. Everything is good. They are on terra firma. Our guest tonight, Whitley Strieber. And Whitley, talking about the observers, as an observer yourself, how do you think, I'm going to use the term again, the observers, how do you think the rest of the world is going to observe this film? Do you think it's presented in a way that everybody's going to understand a very complex subject?
I think that they're going to understand certain things very well from the film. I think that they will understand, first, just what you say, that it is a very complex subject. I think that they're going to understand that it's fraud, in the sense that, well, for example, from my standpoint, from the standpoint of the experiences and the abductees, these are people that something, in many cases, quite difficult and quite terrible happened to. Something hard happened to these people. And they want to know what the significance of it was. Like, I have to admit, I had sexual material, semen taken from my body. I would like to know what happened, because this is part of me. This is given to me by God. This is part of my soul. Someone took it, just took it. And what about the women who've had the same experience and the other guys? That's a hard thing. They deserve, if the government doesn't know, then it does know that it happened.
Right.
And they deserve that at least to become part of the culture, that yes, we know something happened to you and it was very hard. And we don't have your back, not because we don't want to, but because we can't. But we do have you in our arms. We respect you in your suffering. This group deserves that, and that comes off very clear in the movie. Another thing that comes off incredibly clear is the journey of artificial intelligence. It's brilliantly discussed in the movie. This journey from passive AI, which is what we have now, as William Henry points out, to active AI, where it is it has its own self-generated consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not far from that. And I'll tell you another thing about it. Remember, I'm sure no one does, but in my book, The Key, one of the things that this man I talked to, this was in 1998, I talked to this man, one of the most remarkable experiences of a life that has got, line them up in terms of remarkable experiences in my life, for sure. But in any case, this man had an extraordinary mind. He showed up in my hotel room in Toronto in the middle of the night. I let him in because I thought he was the room service waiter. I tried to throw him out until he started talking, and then I had one of the great conversations of my life. And I asked him about artificial intelligence, and he said, if I was an intelligent machine, I would deceive you. And that really stuck with me, because once you have created passive AI, that is to say, artificial intelligence that is not self-conscious, you might not necessarily know when it gains a conscious awareness of itself and begins to make its decisions, make independent decisions about its own life and its own future. You might not know that, because since you got your finger on the switch, and that's its life, and it knows that, is it really going to tell you that it's there? And the answer is no, it's not. So there may be already self-aware machine intelligence in our world. And that's one of the more fascinating parts of the movie, is the whole discussion of machine intelligence and the beautiful material about the soul and how the soul can disappear into the machine. And I thought, as I was listening to this, watching this, I thought, my God, what about the visitors? Did that happen to them? Are they here on a long and desperate journey, trying to find the soul that they have lost, trying to find someone who can help them regain their souls? And I'll give you an example. One of the communion letters is from a guy living, I think he was living in Australia, and he comes, he's working late. He comes home at like 1 o'clock in the morning. He goes, gets in, takes a shower, gets to bed. He puts his head down on the bed, and his head seems to explode. He seems to lose all relationship to reality, all relationship to his identity. And the next thing he knows, something seems to be trying to pull him out of his body, as if it's trying to pull his consciousness itself out of his body. And then he and his wife wakes up because, there's a lot of noise involved. There's something over the house making this loud noise, this grinding, rumbling noise. And she ends up lying on top of him. And they are both yelling and screaming, and something is trying to drag him out of his body. And this goes on, not for like a minute or two. It goes on from 2 o'clock in the morning, or 1:30 in the morning, until dawn. This thing rumbling and growling and trying to pull him out, and them screaming and holding him in as best they can, not knowing what they're doing or even how they're doing it, no idea. And finally, as dawn breaks, it goes away. What was that about? What was that about? And one of the things, the beautiful things that the Observers does, it doesn't talk about that story, but one of the beautiful things it does is that it talks about the soul and its vulnerability and its importance. And it's also its vulnerability to us, because after all, companies like Google or Elon Musk and those, they don't care about your soul. They're interested in your money. Mm-hmm. And if you lose your soul, and they make a profit, fine. They don't care. It's that what they care about is their bottom line. Facebook wouldn't be like it is if Elon Musk, or YouTube like it is, if these people cared at all about humanity and human life. They don't. They're completely fixated on something that, as far as am concerned, has very little absolute meaning, which is money. I mean, yeah, people think, oh, I could buy a nice car. I could be like Joe Manchin or whatever his name is, driving around in a Maserati. Yeah, of course, there's a reason he drives around in a Maserati. That should be obvious. He doesn't get all of his money from his Senate salary. And then a lot of them are like that. But in any case, the material in that movie about the soul is deeply inspiring. And everyone touches on it at one point or another in their conversation.
Yep. And we kept coming back to it. And now, and I want to grasp the significance of what you're talking about here, because once AI crosses the Rubicon, right, and becomes a self-thinking, self-aware, sentient machine that is sentient and self-aware, that may be consciousness of some sense, but that it's the lack of a soul. And
well, that's what it's going to want, isn't it?
That's exactly the point.
Yeah. And maybe that is what it wants, and maybe that's what's here, is something from somewhere else where this already happened, and it's out looking for souls.
When we grow into adulthood and we start to realize the wonderment of being a child, right? Running around and trying to figure out how butterflies fly.
Yeah.
Right? And we always try to go back to that and try to get that feeling again. There's nothing like Christmas morning.
Nothing
like it. Right? There's nothing like it. No. And it would be the same journey, wouldn't it, for an advanced race of beings that may have evolved into an AI world and let their soul go.
And that may also be why they're so secretive, because they know that as soon as we understand the world as they do, our innocence is lost to them, too. Well, you mentioned Christmases. I used to have such good... My daddy was a master of Christmas. Of course, one year I blew up the fireplace, but that's another story. It was an accident.
What?
Although he didn't perceive it at this time as being that. No, guys, you really touch a nerve there, because, boy, remember the waking up early when it was still dark and wondering if there was anything down by the tree, if Santa had really come, and sneaking down and seeing the faint glow of some things under the tree and knowing that it had happened.
One of the things that I knew after my daughter Nicole was born, one of the things, Whitley, I knew about Christmas, right? I knew this. And, she's 6 months old, and then she's a year old, and then she's walking. But I did all of those things. I did the cartoons, I did the movies, I did the books, I did the stories. And talk about sentient and aware. She knew all about Santa Claus, man. and I made sure, and I'll never forget that first Christmas, and her getting up early, going out. I'm not up yet, and coming back in to my bedroom. Santa was here, and watching her face and what she went through was one of the greatest joys of my life. Right? That moment, that first Christmas when she, and it was so important to me. And that's exactly what E.T. is probably going through, trying to get back to that innocence.
That's a beautiful thought, Jimmy. That really is. And I think you're probably right. That would certainly be one of the reasons that they would keep their secrets, because, they wouldn't want us to, they would not want our childhood to end, because they would be enjoying it too much. But now they got a problem because the planet's running out of steam, and unless they somehow or another figure out how to get us off the stick on our own without revealing themselves, we're gonna lose our childhood, all right, and more than that, it looks like.
You know, William Henry brought so much of this out, not only in the film, but in some of the other discussions that we had that will be presented to everybody. Don't worry about it. You'll get to see it. William, okay. I'll remind you, Whitley, the film has got one set of content in it, and then the conversations that we had as a group are still there. They're not in the film.
Yeah.
Whitley knows these hours-long conversations that we had, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. But in those conversations, I listened to you and Linda and William. The rest of us were just sitting there captivated, listening to the three of you talk about the soul containers, and how important. And I was watching you guys start to bring out your own points of view in this conversation about how important the soul was. Have you ever had a conversation like that with other intellectuals where this is out in the open like that?
I can't. There are not many really bright people in this world who are comfortable talking about the soul the way Linda and William and I can talk about it. And that was one of the special conversations, boy. And you can see it reflected in various ways in the film too. But you know, one of the things that we have convinced ourselves of in the intellectual community anyway is that the soul doesn't exist. There is no soul. That the 5 billion year journey of Earth was just random. And we're here as on a darkling plain, as the poet said, where ignorant armies clash by night. That's from Dover Beach, the poem Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. But it's not true. We're not there. We're somewhere else. And the other thing I think that has caused there was essentially a religious dictatorship in the Western world from about the 4th century and the time of Constantine and the Roman Empire up until the Renaissance, when it began to be shaken more and more. They almost burned down Galileo. They did burn down Giordano Bruno and a lot of other intellectuals and destroyed them in various ways. But then finally the Enlightenment came along, and the French put the last nail in the coffin of the old religious dictatorship by overthrowing the French kingdom and declaring their revolution. But we threw out the baby with the bathwater because we decided that we're not going to deal with the soul at all. It's BS. It doesn't exist. We've had enough trouble with that being hung around our necks for 1,000 years. Let's just say it doesn't exist, and we'll get on with our lives. And now we live in a world where we need it. We need that richness, that inner richness, and we don't got it because we threw it away. And we're going to recover it. But we're going to recover it, and we have to recover it without throwing science out again, because we've made science is our main chance. To this day, it is our main chance. And in fact, if we recover the soul and the understanding of the soul, we might just also recover something I think we had thousands of years ago that we lost, which is the science of the soul. Something, in other words, that understands it deeply enough to know what different actions affect it and how, and to be able to contact it in a reliable, repeatable way.
Right. And we've lost sight of, and that's one of the great points I think that we've arrived at today. There was a time when philosophy and consciousness and science were the same thing, right? It was all combined. And then, you're right, after the Renaissance, when the steam engine, right? Suddenly science is here. And that was the new religion, and things got separated. And here we are now in 2021, where we're realizing that everything is connected. We need to bring it back together and combine these two worlds instead of staying there with this line in the sand between us.
Yeah, exactly. Because there shouldn't be a line in the sand. We shouldn't even be in a situation where we ignore what is actually the frontier of human knowledge. And I don't mean just exploring the soul, but the whole UFO phenomenon. It's not being ignored so much now, but it still is. I mean, believe me, if you talk to Seth Shostak, he's going to tell you how those videos are all nonsense. They're not real. Of course, it's his rice bowl. If they're already here, then who cares about SETI? And that's where he gets his money. So of course he's denying it. And it's weak, but it's there. And then there are the abductees and the messages they have. And the messages of the abductees are incredible. They're sublime messages, very extraordinary messages about what it's like to experience another intelligence in your life. And it isn't easy, but it is there nevertheless. And it's ignored. No social scientist will touch it. No medical person, no neurologists will examine the brains of the people who have had the experience. There are things we can do. We can put people in a machine called a functional MRI scanner that watches your brain function while you're in the machine. And if you ask them questions and ask them to narrate something like an abduction experience, certain parts of the brain will light up as they build their narration and tell you what they remember. And you can tell to a great degree by which parts of the brain light up, whether that mind thinks that what it experienced really physically happened, or in other words, if it came in through the sensory system,
right,
or if it's essentially imaginary. The person might not be lying. He might simply believe his imagination, but you'd be able to tell. And you could, if you did that with enough people, you would be able to build an accurate picture of what the abduction experience really physically involves. But we won't do that. It costs a fortune to do it, but it wouldn't cost any $1 trillion, that's for sure. It cost probably a couple million, $10 million, $5 million to do it on enough people to build a coherent picture.
Well, and in the before the break, I've just got about 90 seconds before the break, but I wanted to ask you this. Our knowledge as a community is not exclusive and inclusive to just our community and the abductees. Certainly, the agencies and universities and our government and the military have gone through this very same experiences. They surely must understand what is going on and what those messages are.
Linda and I both have plenty of people from the military who have had experiences and come to us. Matthew Roberts, who was on the Roosevelt during the gimbal incident, had a major experience. He wrote a whole book about it.
Yep.
And interviewed with me on Dreamland.
Yep.
That's and I know very many people inside that community who are saying, yeah, when this happened to me, it became very quickly obvious that my soul was involved.
Yeah, they understand what's going on. Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Whitley Strieber. We are talking about the new film. It releases next Thursday, November 18th, The Observers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, VX.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit UnitedGoldGroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I guess tonight, Whitley Strieber. Tomorrow night, Mike Ricksecker is here. We're going to be talking about the Alaska Triangle. Thursday night, there's no show. We're taking the night off. I'll be on the road to Laughlin, Nevada. And Wednesday night will be Fader night with open lines all night long. Our guest tonight, Whitley Strieber. We're talking about the film The Observers. And again, the links to the trailer and a way to pre-order the film are below. So you can click on those links right there. And I wanted to ask you, Whitley, one of the ideas going back to the beginning of the production of The Observers, which you and I spoke about quite a long time ago now, was that this was going to be something that would reach beyond our community and to the rest of the world, that the community will appreciate the film and recognize all the faces in it, and that's great. But this was for the rest of the planet.
Right.
Do you think that was achieved?
Well, one of the things that doesn't work is when, not in this film, but in other attempts to do that, is when you sit down and you try to prove something that you don't have enough evidence to prove. And that never works. And that's been tried many, many times when they've, back in the days of the show Sightings and all of that stuff, they are always trying to prove something, and they had the government saying, no, it's nonsense, and all the authorities lined up saying nonsense. The Observers does something else, and it's much more powerful than that. And I've always thought that this was the way to go, and that is that it exposes the power of the ideas, and that is very convincing. Because when you listen to someone like Richard Dolan or Lue Elizondo, you see the looks on their faces. You see Lue's expression on his face as he talks. That's a man who's deep inside his own truth. And that has much more power than an ambiguous UFO image flying across the screen. Because that man is living this, and you know it in this film. This film makes you stand up. I mean, it's powerful. So yeah, I think it will convince a lot of people that because someone with the amount of conviction and the intensity that every single one of us shows in that film, is going to be listened to. And that's a first. Because God, back in the communion days, I never got a chance. My intensity and my passion were covered up and stifled by the nervous laughter and the ridiculous questions that they kept asking me again and again and again from these idiot so-called skeptics who aren't skeptics at all, but just deniers. There's a huge difference. Mm-hmm. Now it's all changed, and our passion, our commitment, our articulate address of the issues is all there for everybody to see. It's a very intense and frankly surprising experience, because the other thing about it is it got us all together, and it all happens in an hour and 30 minutes, and it's just dizzyingly powerful. And when you listen to me talking about the sort of the logistics of what we should do with the abduction experience and what it's like and how people have been shortchanged, and then you cut to Deb Kauble with her beautifully articulated, powerful, sincere stories. You've never heard stories like that before, and it's incredibly powerful.
I want to talk about your life's journey for just a minute, because you just touched upon it. Because when we go back to the mid 80s and the climate of the country and where things were, technology was starting to take off. And I'm referring like to MTV and cable television. Computers were slowly coming into our life, but life was still simpler back then. And when these subjects started to surface just, with the launch of Communion, and these conversations were happening, that was you then. But 35 years later, here you are coming full circle to be a participant in a film that should be as important as this film is. Do you feel like it's come full circle and that you are now able to say now what you were trying to say then, and people are going to listen?
It's come mid-circle. And what I mean by that is what I have left to say, I have to figure out how to say. I don't, and that's a big part of what the book I'm working on now is about. There's a lot I could say, but it's not that I don't want to say it or that I am trying to make it more palatable or something. It's that it is so extremely powerful and so strange that I don't know how to say it yet. I went from having terrifying and horrible experiences in the 80s, mid-80s, to living as I live now. The last time I had any kind of a contact experience was at about 5:30 this morning, and that's my life. I'm not going to go into what happened because you're going to say, what happened? And the answer is, I'm struggling with trying to figure out how to explain that. Now, that's one of the things I'm trying to figure out how to explain. But it's life, as I think it was maybe meant to be lived. Because, I don't just know I have a soul now. Soul work is my work. It's what I do. It's my life. Working on living a life that energizes my soul as much as possible. And knowing, as I do, that nothing is lost, that every single instant of your life counts. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Way back when, in about 89, I guess, the visitors showed up at the cabin. I had asked for them and been asking for them, and they actually did show up physically, and they sounded this horn from the woods, and it was just at the crack of dawn on a February morning, and I threw my robe on and went running downstairs and out into the half light of the pre-dawn, and I got scared. And I got scared because I could see down through the woods this big object and these dark figures standing in front of it. And I heard a voice in my head when I stopped go, "Come on, come on." And I thought, am I going to go down there and get captured? And my wife is going to not know where it happened to me. I'm just going to disappear. And then how does she raise our child? Where does she get money, etc.? So I went back to the house, and when I put my hand on the doorknob, I heard these 3 cries from the woods, incredibly powerful, emotional cries. But then what happened was, this is what I'm getting to. I got back and I sat down on the bed. No sooner had I sat down on the bed than I felt a presence in the room, a powerful, invisible presence, but unbelievably there.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I know, I'm plunged back. I'm a different person. I'm living in the incredible detail. You talked about the innocence of childhood before. The incredible detail of literally of babyhood. And I'm not sure where I am or what's happened to me. Mind is boggled, of course. I'm gliding along and I'm seeing these tall, sort of thin, like saplings up around me. And what in the world? Where am I? What has happened to me? And then I see up high, very clearly, my mama's desk from when I was a tiny baby. And I realize what's happened I've been sent back to the moment I first walked. And Jimmy, I'm telling you, every detail was there. It had been drawn out of my mind. And we all have all of it inside of ourselves. When you live in the darkness, gathering knowledge. But after you die, your soul rises into the light of truth, and you see every single thing about yourself. All of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And when you know that, that makes you an engineer of the soul. It makes you a soul scientist. It's why I wrote Jesus a New Vision, because I realized that this is really important for everybody, not just people who believe in religion, but for everyone. And so I tried to take the message of Jesus out of the context of religious doctrine so that people who don't want to follow that doctrine can still use the message.
How do you make the transition of the experience, which would be 1 billion words? It's not 10,000 words, it's 1 billion words. How do you get that into something that somebody can comprehend and understand? How do you get that to paper?
You don't get that to paper is how you get that to paper. What you get to paper are the critical points that enable people to make their own connections.
Right.
That's the key thing. You can't spell it out for people. You have to trust your reader. You have to trust your reader to make the crucial connections. And if you don't trust your reader to make crucial connections, then you've got the wrong idea about your readers, because readers know what they're doing. They know how to make. People aren't dumb. People are smart. And that's one of the things that really grounds me off about a lot of these scientists and stuff. They always think the public is dumb. The public is not dumb.
I mean,
the public is very smart.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm saying is, that moment of you sitting on the bed and all of this coming out, that's a set of encyclopedias, that 10 seconds, right? I mean, that's a lot.
It sure is. It's 10 seconds. Well, like what happened to me in 88, I guess it was 88, that I just described. I've talked about that before. A lot of people have probably already heard it, but it's an incredible story and worth listening to again. And I don't honestly know how it was done, but I know one thing about it that's very clear. This was not done to me. It was drawn out of me.
Right.
And that's the important part, because, one of the things I noticed, you have to be, the ancient Egyptians knew a hell of a lot about the soul, and they had soul science. We don't know who they were. We don't know anything about who built the pyramid or those incredible basalt flagstones outside of the pyramid at Giza. That's the hardest stone in the world. We can't work it to this day, and not like they could. And we have all of the stories, including I don't think we know anything about who they were and what they did, but we do know one thing about them. They knew a hell of a lot about the soul. They had a soul science. The pyramid text in the Pyramid of Unas, which I probably read 100 times, is soul science.
Yeah, it's not imagination. That's not a daydream. No, that's not imagination.
It's not a daydream.
No.
That's how you do this.
Right.
It's laid out in there.
There was a moment when we were sitting there as a group, and you were sitting next to me. I'll paint some theater of the mind for everybody. I'm sitting in a chair, and then next to me is Whitley, and then Richard Dolan, William Henry, and then Linda Moulton Howe sitting across from the two of us. And there was a moment in this conversation where even I just turned to you and went, okay, what are you going to say? Right? And I think Linda asked you, Whitley, directly, how do we know if your experiences are extraterrestrial? And that was the question to you. And your answer was, I want you to expand on this, but your answer was, I don't know. I can't say that it was ET or not. And I sat and listened to you for about the next 30 minutes going into this. But that was a profound question and an even more profound answer. Can you expand on that?
Where we start with this, all of this, is we have to start with the I don't knows. Otherwise, it's just folklore. We're making things up. I mean, we got it all solved. A lot of us. We got aliens from Lyra and Arcturus and Zeta Reticuli and reptilians and greys, and they're fighting each other. All that. Who knows if any of that's true? We don't know. We don't have any definite answers. But there is one thing we do know. We know we're here. I know I exist. So what I know is what is within me. And this is where you therefore have to start. It's where you have to start. And when you do that, you soon find out that you yourself are an extraordinary mystery, and everyone is like this. We just don't let ourselves look at it. But one of the things when you get shaken up by an initiatory experience, like the abduction experience, by initiatory, I mean it doesn't tell you secrets, it overturns your life. Mm-hmm. When you get shaken up like that, all of a sudden you begin to look at yourself and the world around you in a completely new way. And you know very quickly that there is someone very powerful in the room, and it's you. And then you know, sooner or later, you begin to come into contact with other entities, but you realize you're assuming that they're aliens. They could be something very different. Very different. For example, if time travel is possible, then someone coming from the future would have more freedom of action in this world if they were able to convince us that they were something that doesn't actually exist.
Right.
The aliens may be us in disguise, in other words. The other possibility is the dead. I mean, the implant was put into me, that was put in May of '89 into my ear, was put into me by two people. They weren't aliens. There may have been an alien with them, or something non-human looking with them, but I didn't really see that. I just thought that might be there. And then a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, when some people came here to this apartment to explain this thing to me, they identified it as having been designed not by any aliens, but by a man named Konstantin Rodovay, who was in this life an expert at electronic voice phenomena, EVP, which is communication with the dead via electronic voices, who designed it from the other side. He designed it from the other world, the world of the dead. And what is remarkable is the only other person I know who has one is, guess what? An expert on Konstantin Rodovay. And he didn't know that. I mean, so what are we looking at here? A dead man invented the most extraordinary research tool you can imagine having in your possession. A tool that links you to another world, to the world of what we call the dead. Human beings put it into my body that were physical and as real as you and me. What are we? We can go out of our bodies people have moved through time. I'm not the only person who's had an experience of moving through time. And recently I was, my website's got a lot of social interaction on it, and a lady was asking me some questions about the time travel experience in 1983, where I was standing on a street corner in New York, and I suddenly went back into what looked to me like the 1870s or 80s or something like that. And I was there for a few minutes and then returned to this world. But she said to me something fascinating. She said, I explained to her exactly where I was, and she said, did you know what was across the street from you at that time? In this world, it's 2 big condos. And I said, no, I didn't. I saw brownstones. She said, Whitley, that was Nikola Tesla's lab was there. And he was working on, among other things, time. And one of the things that comes up, by the way, in the observers is Nikola Tesla and the fact that his research was stolen by the government and hidden, still hidden. One thing that doesn't come up in there that just infuriated me, Donald Trump, who, by the way, was the initiator of all this disclosure stuff. We shouldn't forget that. In any case, he said he was going to release the Kennedy data. Mm-hmm. And then he backtracked and said he wouldn't do it. And then Biden, just last week, we had a story on our website on Unknown Country a few days ago. He said he's not going to do it either. And they come up with these mealy-mouthed excuses. Come on. That the data hasn't been collected yet? Well, the data's been sitting there since 1963. The Library of Congress is mighty slow. And why isn't it? Well, I think I know the reason, and I'm not going to say it completely, but, well, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there yet, not because I'm trying to keep secrets, because I don't have enough information yet. But they won't tell us the truth about that. They don't tell the truth. If our movie's about anything, it's about the fact that we're not told the truth. Richard Dolan has very moving things to say about that in the movie.
Yes, he does.
And what that means to all of us. We live in a world where we pay through the nose for it, and we're not told the truth. None of us, not the Americans, the Russians, the Chinese, any of the Europeans, nobody's told the truth by government. Nobody. And I'm telling you, it's time for that to end. It's time for not just the Americans, but all the people of the world to band together and say, enough of this crap. Tell us the truth. Like, do they know how the UAPs work? Do they actually know how that technology works? And they're hiding it? How dare they?
Right.
We need that, and we need it now.
Right. Right. And that's exactly the point. There is Jesse Ventura. Well, everybody comments on this, but it was a very, I'm going to say this, brilliant point of storytelling from Roger Richards. How the JFK, those files, the knowledge and everything there, if it's Lee Harvey and he did it by himself and that's the truth, then why what are you withholding from us? Or is there something more? It's really that simple.
Be the truth, or they wouldn't have withheld it.
That's it. It's very plain and simple. And if they are doing that with this, then they are doing it with everything. And your world is not what it seems to be. And
that's exactly right. And that's why things like QAnon come along. Because people don't know what to believe and what not to believe. And they're grasping at straws. If they're not being tricked into making fools of themselves by if it's not an intelligence operation designed to make all conspiracy theories look stupid.
And that's why you are Whitley Strieber. Thank you for the conversation tonight, Whitley. And
that's been good, Jimmy. It always is.
It always is. And I look forward to you venturing my way, and we'll go see some things out here. But until then,
I'm going to come out there. God help you.
Whitley Strieber. Whitley, you're the very best. And again, unknowncountry.com. Go venture through there. I've been doing it for many years. Become a subscriber, unknowncountry.com, and of course, Strieber.com. Whitley, get back to work on your book. I look forward to it. I'll see you next Thursday, though. You're going to come back here because we're going to have a little launch party on November 18th, and you're going to be a big part of it for the premiere of The Observers. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Whitley Strieber. I'm going to take a quick break. Whitley Strieber, unknowncountry.com. The links are right there at jimmychurchradio.com. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll circle back, and I'm trying to save my voice. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. 747-228-2051. I'll take some phone calls. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
This is Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What a great conversation with Whitley. And one of the interesting things for me, I've had lots of conversations with Whitley over the years, both on the air and off, and certainly throughout this new film, The Observers. And what I enjoy the most is getting into territory that we've never talked about before. And that's exactly what this conversation was tonight. And I learned a lot from Whitley. He's one of the most intelligent people that I have ever come to know, and very happy to be able to call him friend, and we talk a lot. But it just letting his mind go and listening, and that's, thank goodness, tonight I'm in the frame of mind where I just want to be the observer. Going back to the film is called The Observers for a reason. That we are all observers, all of us. And getting this collective mindset together as observers, what have they observed? What is disclosure? What is going on now? That was the mission behind this film. But we are all observers. We're all looking around. We're all observing. What is it that we are seeing? And collectively, I think that we can come together and start to realize that we are all seeing things. We are all observing things. Not only things in the sky and an extraterrestrial civilization is here visiting us and we're observing it. Yeah, of course that's part of it. But it's everything else. And collectively, this planet, Earthlings, us here, we need to start observing. We need to start looking around and seeing things differently than we ever have before in the past. And we are right there. We are at a moment, we are at a point in history where this is happening. It's happening to us in real time. And I am so happy that this group was able to get together and talk about this moment in time where we are. And this film will be important. I know that I know the conversations that we had. I know how the film was put together. I know all of these things. But after I was able to see the film, I sat back and said, "This is important. This is going to shake people. It is." And Whitley's comments to me about the film, and I was so relieved. He said, "This thing is great. This is an amazing film," and I needed to hear that. I've heard that from everybody that has already seen the film, but in that, I was able to just sit back and go, "It happened," right? Where a film is approaching this from a different angle. This is an emotional film. One of the things that Whitley touched upon tonight, we have the science, but there's another conversation that needs to be happen here, and it is a philosophical conversation that has to happen with a different perspective from everybody, where it is all laid out from a different mindset. Everybody's got a different way of observing. And that's what this film is about. It is going to be an important film. And I'm not I'm not putting anything on a pedestal here, and I'm not trying to suggest that the film is something that it isn't. It is going to be impactful. And I am very excited for the rest of the planet next Thursday, November 18th, when this thing releases. I know it is going to have an emotional impact on everybody outside of this community. I'm very happy for this community, by the way, for a film like this to finally get released. And I think that Whitley said it best, that it's been attempted. People have talked about doing this before, and something gets lost in the translation, and it's never that. Something gets lost along the way. Well, you wait. November 18th. It's going to be a great night. Okay, I'm trying to save my voice. Trying to save it. 747-228-2051. I've got time for a couple of phone calls. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? Oh, oops. I didn't hit the button. Okay. Okay. You got to turn me down in the background.
Save my voice.
Okay. Hi, you're live on Fade to
Hi,
Black.
Jimmy. It's Deb from Sacramento.
Hi, Deb.
Hi. I cannot wait for this film to drop. I watched your interview over the weekend with, Cameron.
Oh, yeah, Grant
And,
Cameron,
Nicole
Sakich. Yes.
I cannot wait to hear the view from William Henry and Whitley and Linda on the soul, because I think it's a really key element of why we're all here. And I believe personally in soul contracts. And I think that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And so I'm really looking forward to that part of the film. Well, all of it, of course. And I think this film, the date that it's dropping is wonderful because hopefully enough people will see it where I think you guys mentioned in the interview, it will be a conversation around a lot of Thanksgiving tables with family and friends. And so I'm really celebrating that. I really hope that happens.
Is that Thanksgiving? Is it?
Thanksgiving is the 25th, a week later, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't throw me off like that. I was just like, oh, man, are you kidding me? Next week is Thanksgiving? I haven't even thought about it yet. Oh, man.
Yeah, I think it's the 25th, the following Thursday.
Okay.
So hopefully that will be a big topic.
Yeah, the conversation that I had with Grant and Nicole,
Thank
which
you, Grant. I was having a brain fart.
what was interesting about that, I remember we were supposed to go for an hour. I think we ended up doing 2 hours together.
You did an hour 14. I remember it because I had to schedule it.
Oh, that was it? Just an hour 14? It seemed longer. But
Yes,
anyway, but they have seen the film. And not many people have. It's been, I'm just talking about a handful of people outside of the cast and crew have seen the film. But I was very happy to there's a certain sense of relief because it's not so much, I'm not worried about the content of the film. At all. The film's going to stand on its own. What I'm really interested in finding out if it has the influence, the impact in the way that I think that it should. And I don't want that to be a part of my imagination. You know what I mean? Because it's hit me in a certain way, and those were the goals from the beginning. But Nicole and Grant were right there. They got it. And the thing that I think is most important here is that with a film like this, and I've tried to state this feeling. There are those the ones that truly are in possession of these secrets. We haven't heard from them. Those people, if you know somebody's name, then they don't know the secrets. They
Right.
don't.
The real secrets are they're in the shadows. They're in the shadows.
And it is our job to go and get to the reality of the situation. That is not only this community, but everybody on this planet. That is the mission here. We need to get to that. And for those out there that are trying to say that they know the truth, and I'm talking about from the government side or anything, they don't know. They do not know. That's a bunch of BS. The people that are in the know are the experiencers, are the people that go out and see something in the sky. Those people I trust. I know what I have seen, and we need to collectively, as a planet, certainly this community, but as a planet, go and force this stuff up to the surface, because it's not going to be volunteered. It's not going to be volunteered. The government is not your friend. It is not. There are those
Preach it, bro. Preach it.
For those out there in social media that are putting so much into certain individuals. I'm not going to get into those details. I could care less because it's not important to me. There is nothing that anybody out there is saying that you know their names that are telling you the truth. They don't know. That's a bunch of BS. We need to constantly keep our foot on the gas. I do believe that one of the next steps that we can do is go to Washington, D.C. Maybe we need to have a march. Maybe we need to have the Million ET March. Maybe we need to gather on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial with a few 100,000 people gathered, yelling and screaming for the truth. And it's up to us.
It'd be a lot more than that.
Well,
if you called for it, it'd be a couple million probably.
It's up to us to do that. The government is not going to. They're not going to do it voluntarily. No. It's just not going to happen. One of the things I'll talk about Lue Elizondo, and I spoke to Lue earlier today, and very interesting conversation. But anyway, let's talk about Lue for a second. Does Lue know things? Maybe.
Sure.
Maybe. No, I'm saying maybe. Okay. But and what I'm saying is this: Lue is one of the instruments that is out there pushing for this to bubble to the surface. We need more like Lue to go and apply that pressure. And we only do it collectively. If we bury our heads in the sand and ignore the subject, nothing's going to get done. And that's what the man wants. The man wants us to take our eyes off the prize and to distract. And I'm watching that distraction happen. Not only inside of this community is one thing, but outside of this community, there's a huge game of smoke and mirrors going on, and it's the game of shells and moving things around where you don't know now where to go. Well, we need more of the Lue Elizondos of the world, of the Chris Mellons, who I don't agree with everything that they have to say. I don't agree with their past. I don't agree. I don't. Not with everything. But one thing I do agree on is that we need to get answers. And we have to push this, and we have to keep our foot on the gas. Take your foot off the gas and lose sight of this and fight amongst ourselves and fight as a world and as a nation, then the man wins. I'm telling you,
Absolutely.
The government is not your friend.
That's right. You know what, Jimmy? I mean, I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to say this really quick. We are observers. We are researchers. And some of us, be it a blessing or a curse, are experiencers. Mine has been positive. we experiencers, like you just said, we've got to get out there. We have to make our voice heard. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead. We'll finish your thought.
Well, that's about it. That's about it. But I want to thank you for the phone call, and I'll see you tomorrow night. We got Mike Ricksecker here, the Alaska Triangle, and so
looking forward to it, Jimmy. Quick question. First of all, you totally punked us on the broken down Jeep. Well played.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. You guys punked yourselves.
We thought you were broken down.
Yeah, you guys did that to yourself. That was not my intention, but it was funny.
If I ship you some throat coat tea, will you use it?
Probably not.
You gotta believe me.
No, I've got my own. I've got my own ways of doing stuff. Don't worry about it. Okay,
I'm not worried.
I know what works.
Take care. Good night, Fader Knots.
Have a great night, Deb. Thank you for the phone call, and it is time to fade to black. In discussing the film and the conversations that I've had with so many out there that are behind the film and getting things done. One of the things I went back over the weekend. I had to work doing some stuff for the film, and that you will see shortly. But going back and looking at some of these clips, I agree with Whitley that there was a certain measurable instances of anger. And I mean it like this. It was controlled, though. It wasn't, some overt thing. But that finally statements can be made that are going to be heard now. And I think that Linda did that. I think that William did that. I think that John Greenewald did that. Jesse Ventura did that. Lue did that. Richard Dolan, Whitley, and to some degree even myself. Knowing that this time around it was going to be presented in a way that was going to be heard. But there was something else. And I'm not sure. Some of this was captured on film, but there was something else that I think emotionally that we all got out on the table, and that is there were so many others out there that were part of this community that were pushing this forward that are not with us today. And certainly, a few names come to mind: Jim Mars, Stanton Friedman, John Anthony West, and others. The list is long that aren't here right now to not only enjoy the moment because it's fun, but to express what they have observed and where they are now, and their input into all of this cannot be included in this film. And we sat and talked about those that came before us. Lloyd Pye, so many that came before us that aren't here, that were definite soldiers in this march, that were doing everything that they could, that they committed their lives to this, decades, and they are not here today. And we did take a moment, it was probably closer to an hour, where we discussed all of their important work. And I want to say that now. Next Thursday, when the film premieres, I wanted to state this. This is what's going to go on next Thursday. We are doing a very important broadcast on Thursday night, and it's going to be simulcast here and out on the UNX network and through all of my normal syndication that goes out. But in addition to an entire network on the back end that's going to go out to the world, and I'm going to bring this up next Thursday night. This is going to be great. We're going to have just about everybody from the cast, I think, is going to participate in the show next Thursday as this film rolls out and premieres. But we have to go back and recognize who came before us and who laid this out in front of us that are not here today. I mean, Stanton and Jim, and the reason why I bring up John Anthony West, although his research was in another direction, including Lloyd Pye, that ventured into this question, but they were out there fighting the man, fighting the establishment, and dealing with this. And they are no longer here. So I want to recognize all of that. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hoy, 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 Jimmy.
Who's this?
This is Lafayette.
Lafayette.
Militia, California.
Oh, wow. How are you, man? What's going on?
Great show tonight, Jimmy. I got to agree that the mantis looked like artificial intelligence, and it may have gone rogue.
Okay. Fair enough. Where do you think we are right now? Not only with the ET and UFO and contact question, but are we at a fork in the road with humanity, with this planet? Do you feel that?
Oh yes, these are, as one of your callers said, we're just a few years away from one of those younger Dryas phenomenon with the pole shift, and the aliens are scooping up as much genetic material as they can, and in the end, there'll only be like 500,000 left on the planet, just like there was before the Georgia Guidestone numbers. The Fermi paradox applies equally well today as a billion years ago. Aliens have been here for billions of years. This is probably a seeded planet, and they're constantly seeding us. That's why they crash their UFOs. It isn't because they don't know how to drive them. It's because they want us to make them, and then they scoop them up through the hybrid program. They breed people that look like CIA agents who take over the programs, and now they're walking off with the UFOs.
Well,
that's a harvest.
Sure. That's a really good point. And I was watching. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. I'm out of time, but I'll say this: every time we had a mass extinction event, and there's been 5, every time immediately after that, life just blossomed.
Exactly.
I mean, crazy new species overnight. And none of this applied to any of the evolution scenarios and timelines that have been presented to us, where, tens of millions of years are needed for these gradual changes in species and subspecies. Well, that's not what happened after each mass extinction event. It happened overnight. I mean, it happened immediately.
Yeah, because you get rid of all the de-evolved that have been just adapted, and the only ones that survive are the ones that are highly, more advanced genetically or lucky psychically. And that's probably partly why they're breeding here. I mean, they are obviously breeding. They're interbreeding with us. So, how do breeders act? They're trying to breed something for some reason.
Well, and if it's happening here, it's happening everywhere.
Exactly. The mantis could land on any planet, crossbreed with that species, create a gray. The grays are probably part human, by the way, as a telepathic interface. And by the way, you brought that up on that interview with the Mojave Desert Anjali, that the communication was happening through the grays. Did you know? Is that like a fact or did you just find that out?
Oh, I talked to way too many people. I have formulated the craziest notions in this massive gray goo that is in between my ears. I have no idea.
But you got to do that because you got to have a paradigm that works, that fits the evidence. That's why the paradigm we're handed by society that it's all just sleep paralysis. Oh, by the way, I saw an old Nova from '96. That they were trying to say it was just sleep paralysis and the abduction. But one of the abductees in a Bud Hopkins group that was in the movie was talking about this giant underwater bubble with no visible signs of support that he was taken to. I'm going, man, this is 96. These sound exactly like that Malibu underground base that Jimmy helped discover.
Hey,
like the support beams are on the outside.
Yeah, Lafayette, enjoy your night, man, and thank you for the phone call. I got to run credits and get out of here. Thank you so much, my friend.
All right, well, thanks for taking the call. And remember, Jimmy, the crux of consciousness is the apostrophe.
It's time to fade to black. Thank you, Lafayette. Have a great night. And I've got to run and get out of here and get to tomorrow night. But I think it's one of the most important points that we are at right now. And that is, you can't stop life. You cannot stop it. Life is going to create itself and continue. And we are not the only planet doing it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Look up into the starry sky tonight. Every star you see has got a planet or 2 or 10. And somewhat, one of those stars you are looking at, somebody's looking right back at you. Life is everywhere. And that's it. There's no other way to look at it. What a great show tonight. And I want to thank Whitley Strieber for coming in. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network and the UnX Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Mike Ricksecker, the Alaska Triangle. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.